seat. Finding kind of where you are in your own space. If you haven't muted yourself already, but you would like to, feel free to do that. We'll go ahead and start from a place of kind of groundedness this morning, just getting back into our bodies after a little bit of time away from at least our kind of collective practice. Just give ourselves a chance to maybe feel up through the posture. Start to lift the crown of the head a little higher toward the sky. Maybe notice if there's any tension in the face or the jaw. You might gently move the jaw around or chew slightly. You might create some movements in the eyes. You can take the gaze down low in the vision, as well as up high. Maybe breathing in as we raise the gaze up. And exhaling to drop the gaze back down. That might be a challenge for you to trace the vision the whole time all the way up. Maybe following that movement with the breath. You might decide you like to look right and left. You can take the gaze maybe to one side with the inhale. And exhale. Tracing the gaze around maybe to the other side. Trying to keep the head and the neck still. It can be a challenge. Inhaling, maybe going back the other direction. With the exhale, maybe tracing the gaze back around. In some ways, taking account of what is around you in your space. Maybe taking just an extra second or two to find yourself here in this place, in this moment. What are the details in the room that you didn't notice before? What are the things that are close by and far away? And when you finish the last round of breath there, if you want to, you can trace the gaze all the way around in a big circle. Following the peripheral vision around, making sure that you are still breathing. Maybe taking a few circles one direction, perhaps taking the gaze the other direction. Maybe from the bottom of the gaze, you rise the inhale with the gaze as it lifts, and then maybe making it to the very top with the exhale, perhaps then taking the gaze back down. Noticing if this feels challenging to you or very easy. Good. We'll go ahead and just sweep the gaze high one more time, one more in-breath, looking up. And exhaling all the way back down. If you'd like to, you might drop the chin here a little bit. Maybe give yourself a gentle neck roll from side to side. That might be inhaling to take the head one direction. Maybe exhaling to come back the other direction. Allowing yourself to move with the breath, nice and slow. Noticing if you're feeling any tension, any tight spots or sore spots. Also giving yourself a time here to just apply a little bit of pressure to the front of the throat as the chin comes down toward the chest. This can help boost our immunity, help with immune function, especially during kind of cold and flu season now. Anytime we can give ourselves that chest to chin or chin to chest connection, giving ourselves a little favor there. Good. When that feels settled for you, maybe bringing the chin back to center, rising the gaze up to level. Maybe we'll take a little bit of shoulder roll here if you like to. And that can be both shoulders going back, both shoulders can come forward. You can alternate, maybe once back, once forward. Or if you like a little bit more movement here, the hands can come to the shoulders and you might try taking the elbows in circles. Again, you can choose, does that look like both elbows going back together? Do you want to reverse the direction ever or at all? Can you still notice the breath here? Maybe how many circles for an inhale, how many circles for an exhale. Good. We'll go ahead and just allow ourselves to shake out those arms a little bit if you want to. Just try to loosen from the shoulders to the elbows, maybe the wrists. The fingers can be loose. You can even just shake those hands a little bit faster if you like to, or flick the fingers. Just releasing any maybe stuck energy, anything that might be kind of holding on to you or weighing you down. You can kind of shake away. If you want to kind of take an extra level of energy bath, you can sweep away anything that might feel stuck to you or weighing you down. You kind of brush those things away or clap the hands together to let those go. If you want to, you can continue an energy bath down the body, maybe over the chest, the sides, and the back. Maybe you take that bath all the way down, just kind of sweeping away anything that might have been stressful in the last couple of weeks since we've met. You can definitely brush away the bottoms of the feet or the tops of the feet. That can be a nice place to clear some energy. Letting go of anything that doesn't serve you from this point forward. Allowing yourself to come back into that settled seat. Maybe if you did have a crossed leg, you can reverse the cross of the legs at this time. We'll go ahead and continue a little bit of movement and warm up, adding some bend and flex to the spine with a little bit of seated cat-cow. So with the inhale, maybe opening the chest forward, maybe lifting the gaze here. With the exhale, maybe rounding the back, tucking the chin, tucking the tailbone under perhaps. Next inhale, maybe rising open or forward. With the exhale, rounding or tucking the chin. Letting the spine open through the back body. You can feel free to take this at your own pace. So offer time for, 5 to 10 rounds depending on your speed. Allow yourself to move with a deep breath here. Maybe notice what parts of the spine are easy to move. They feel open and flexible. And if there are other parts of the spine that feel maybe more stuck or kind of almost fused even, sometimes it can feel like that. Just giving ourselves awareness for where it feels mobile and maybe where we're finding less movement or less freedom. Good. Maybe taking another 1 or 2 rounds here if you choose. Maybe last exhale or last breath. Allow yourself to come back up to a tall posture, that neutral seat. Good. And we'll go ahead and just take a little bit of a twist here, seated twist. So you can keep the legs crossed if you'd like to. If you prefer to uncross the legs or take what we call the half fish pose, wrapping one foot over and wrapping the arm around, you can do that. I'm just going to stay simple, kind of in the cross leg seat. Maybe starting to twist to the right side first. Maybe the left arm crosses to the right knee. Right arm can come behind you. Fingers can act as a kickstand here. As we're drawing up through the crown of the head, lengthening the spine. Then as we exhale, taking that twist a little bit deeper, gaze can come around the shoulder here. We'll just give it a chance to hold here for a couple of breaths. If that doesn't feel good to you, you can release the shape and maybe come back into it when you're ready. You can reapproach the shape multiple times, just working on that setup and alignment. If the hold feels good to you, maybe you'll notice if you can take the gaze far to the periphery. Starting to twist even the energy. Twisting your intention, maybe spiraling that energy up even through the crown of the head, out into the universe. Good. Maybe giving it a couple more breaths here if you choose. Maybe one more deep breath in. One more full exhale. At the end of that exhale, maybe releasing the twist. If you need any movement, stretch, or shape there, you can take it and we'll go ahead and align ourselves up for the next side. So if you are ready, go ahead and cross maybe the other hand to the opposite knee. For me, it's the right hand coming to the left knee, left finger's coming behind as a kickstand, rising up through the crown of the head first, maybe taking a deep breath in to lift, and lengthening the spine with the exhale, maybe coming to press into that twist. Gaze can come around the shoulder, maybe looking far behind you or just wherever the gaze can go. Maybe noticing if the twist is up through the whole spine, including the neck, the upper back. Again, you can release the shape and come back into it as many times as you like. Maybe noticing your alignment here, the length of the spine or the posture. Maybe noticing if you can bring some more intention into that twist, maybe starting to twist the thoughts or the energy, the intention up through the crown of the head and into the universe. We tend to think of twists as cleansing poses, giving ourselves a chance to wring out the body as well as the emotion or the mind. So anything else that might need to be kind of squeezed out or pressed out, maybe holding on or causing you aches and pains, go ahead and just imagine yourself wringing those things out of yourself now. Maybe taking another breath or two here in this side if you like. When you finish your last exhale, allowing yourself to release the shape, come back to that neutral spine. Good. We'll go ahead and work into a little bit more movement through the pelvis if you like to. Maybe just inviting a little bit of a circle of the upper body. So maybe inviting yourself to find awareness for the bowl of the pelvis. Just imagining ourselves kind of stirring the pot. It can be a big movement or a very small movement. It can be fast or slow as you like. Stirring up some of the energy in the lower body here, inviting it to rise up through our kind of newly opened or stretched out spine. When you feel ready to reverse directions, allow yourself to come to center slowly, not shocking the system, but coming to that balance point and then kind of reversing the direction when you're ready, perhaps. You're allowing yourself again to kind of get wide and deep where you might stay small. Noticing that the breath is still present here. Maybe noticing, is it a number of circles for the inhale and a number of circles for the exhale? Is it part of the circle for each part of the breath? Inviting yourself into maybe a couple more moments, a couple more breaths here for this part of the practice. And again, when you feel ready to kind of quiet the body or slow it down, doing so slowly, giving the body time to adjust to that still place. Nothing forced. Inviting a deep breath here if you'd like to, stretching the arms out and up with an inhale. With an exhale, just releasing those fingertips down, but keeping the spine nice and tall, letting the fingers trace for the full length of the out breath. Nice deep breath in when you're ready. The arms can come all the way up or they can stop part way. You can even just lift from the elbows if you just want to bend the elbows and lift the forearms. The shoulders don't have to be involved. I'll show you what that can look like here if you want to notice or feel that for yourself. If we minimize the movement, just going all the slower so we can still take those long, full breaths in and out. Another time here. Maybe raising the arms all the way up or part of the way up, whatever suits you. And we'll invite one final round of breath like this, however you choose to take it. If the arms are overhead, you might meet the palms together in center. Maybe draw the hands into the heart space. Or maybe allow yourself to bring those hands together. And pressing some energy between the palms to help open the shoulders. The heads of the shoulders can kind of open back. Maybe the shoulder blades starting to flatten on the back behind you. Allowing some space for the heart here. Maybe even connecting the base of the thumbs into the chest bone. You might bow the head here if you'd like to. You can invite an intention for your practice if you would like to at this time. When those intentions are settled in heart and mind, maybe allowing yourself to release those hands back to the lap. Maybe take another deep sweeping breath here. And an option, if you want to, you can lower the hands back down. If you'd like to, just send those feet out in front of you. We'll start to take a nice tall shape. Again, hands can come low to support if that's better for you. Or if you want a little bit of extra arm or upper body work, sending those fingertips straight over the shoulders, lengthening through the elbows, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears, however. Maybe allowing yourself to tuck the low belly in. The navel can come in toward the spine. Maybe you tilt the top of the pelvis a little bit further forward. So aligning the spine nice and tall, rising out of the sit bones here. Maybe giving it another breath or two if you like. With an exhale, you're welcome to bring it into a forward fold. So that can be about a halfway fold, keeping the back nice and flat. Or if you want to follow the curve of the spine down, you might walk the hands toward the feet a little bit deeper. Maybe you relax the head and the neck, allow that to be soft and the spine to stretch fully open here. If you have any low back pain or bulging disc issues, I encourage you to keep the back more flat, leaning forward with a straight spine. You can kind of play with that if you wish to, but allowing yourself maybe to target more stretch through the backs of the legs by keeping the back flat as opposed to compromising any issue in the low back here. If you have a hand clasp on the toes or the feet, you can take that. Alternatively, the hands can just be soft by the side. Sometimes flipping the backs of the hands to the ground helps to kind of take the power out. Giving it a couple more breaths here if you choose. Maybe one more full deep breath in your shape, however you like it. At the end of your last exhale, maybe coming to rise back up with a flat back or a straight spine. An option to bring the feet in towards center together. So bottoms of feet coming in. This becomes a bound angle pose or a cobbler's pose. Maybe those arms stay lifted. Maybe you drop those hands down to the legs or the floor for support. Again, kind of that extra energy to lift and rise up through those long arms. Creates a little bit more action maybe through the low body, the deep core. Maybe the pelvic floor lifts here. Maybe you draw the navel in toward the spine. Maybe you press the knees down toward the earth a little bit deeper. Adding some strength here through the whole body. You can choose for yourself if you'd like to take this into a forward fold. You might find an exhale to either lean with that flat back or follow the curve of the spine a little bit deeper. Choosing for yourself where you feel good about stopping or stretching. Doesn't have to be your deepest depth. Maybe you find a place that's a little bit gentler, but you can still notice a slight stretch. Maybe you chase the edge of sensation, allowing yourself just a little tiny stretch at a time, and when that kind of opens and that sensation goes away, maybe then is when you travel a little bit deeper, go into that stretch just a little bit more. So giving lots of breath here to this shape. Starting to find awareness for where that feeling of stretch may be in your own body. Noticing if you can target those spaces of stretch with your breath. Imagining those tissues opening like your lungs with the inhale. And with the exhale, allowing those muscles to soften just a little bit more or relax just a little bit deeper. Maybe taking another breath or two here in your shape if you like. Finding when you feel ready to rise back up, you can walk yourself gently or rise back up with that flat back, lifting high, maybe again with those arms, and maybe sending those legs out in front of you one more time. You might bounce the knees here or kind of take a side-to-side sway in the feet, rotating from the hips. If you like that arm and upper body work, maybe giving it one more deep breath here. Lifting through the heart and then exhaling. Hands can gently come back down. Good. We'll go ahead and just take it around toward hands and knees if that's okay for you. If you need to modify or stay seated, you can. If you'd like any support or cushion underneath the knees, you can bring a blanket in. We'll go ahead and just move toward a tabletop pose if that feels okay for yourself. Maybe taking a sway of the hips side to side. This can also be done from standing. If you want to come to the feet, you can stand and sway those hips side to side here. You might find that you can find some movement like this from a chair as well, or seated on the ground. Good. An option to find a little bit of rotation through the hips. So bringing the hips square over the knees. You might center, starting with the left knee here. Rising the right knee out to the side and up. Maybe taking it around in a big circle a few times, one direction. Maybe you take it around the other direction or reverse here if you like. Good. Giving it a couple of rounds, maybe setting that first leg down when you're ready. You can switch sides. Maybe centering the right knee this time and circling the left, starting with one direction. Noticing that the breath is still moving as you move, not holding the breath or constraining it. Good. Maybe taking yourself the other direction or reversing the knee. Left knee can come to ground as well. Maybe sending it back into a child's pose here if you like to send the hips back toward the heels. Upper body can come down toward the legs. Knees can stay close together. If you like a little more stretch through the groin or the pelvis, you can open those knees a little bit wider and release the upper body down. The forehead may come onto or toward the floor. It may not touch, that's okay. Give yourself some deep breath here through this shape, maybe stretching open the shoulder blades or drawing them apart as you draw a deep breath in. Taking a few more breaths here, maybe 3 or 4 more breaths in this shape. If you need to adjust anything or move anything, you can, feel free. Giving it one more breath or so here as you choose. When you're ready to rise up back toward our table pose, you can lift back here toward the hands and knees. If you feel ready and willing, you might tuck the toes underneath here. Perhaps rising the hips up and back for downward facing dog. So focusing on the energy in the hands supporting us, strength into the fingertips. If it's not great for you to do a full downward dog and you'd like to take it to the wall, another option for a wall dog is to kind of walk the hands about halfway down. Allow yourself to kind of hang into the shoulders, maybe drop the head between the arms. And that's another way of providing yourself the shape and stretch without going all the way down onto the floor. If that downward dog shape feels good to you, you can add some movement, pedaling the feet, or rising and lowering on the toes perhaps. Take a couple more breaths here. Give ourselves some time to explore and find the shape. Good. We'll go ahead and find a way to come to the feet. So if it's safe for you to walk the feet forward toward the hands, you can take some little steps there. If you need a bigger, safer step, you can bring on the knees. Take one foot forward. Hand onto the knee to rise yourself back up. Or however it takes you, you can always grab onto some furniture or some wall to help you rise back up to your feet if needed. We'll go ahead and meet in a halfway fold or a halfway lift here. So we're looking for a flat back shape. Hands can press onto the knees or the shins here. Shoulders are away from the ears, so we're pressing the shoulders down. We're extending some energy out of the crown of the head to lengthen the spine. You might not get to that place where you're completely flat. That's okay. If your hamstrings are a little bit tight, you might go to a different kind of angle. That's okay. We're just looking for that alignment of shoulders away from the ears, spine nice and long, length through the backs of the legs, and some nice deep breath to go with it. Maybe giving yourself some attention into the feet. You might lift and spread those toes out a little bit. You might notice for yourself the balance on the feet. If the arches can stay a little bit lifted. If you can notice the outer edges of both feet in contact with the floor. Maybe giving it a couple more breaths here if you can, or if you choose. Maybe finding an exhale, we might extend this down into a full forward fold if it feels safe to you to do so. Maybe just tracing those hands all the way down. They can touch the floor. If they don't touch the floor, that's okay. They can just hang out in midair. Maybe allowing yourself to relax the spine, the head, or the neck. Maybe you can even gently nod yes and no. Maybe coming to that still place where gravity is helping to draw you down and open the spine. Again, noticing where you're feeling stretch and giving breath to those places. And give another couple of breaths here if you choose in this shape. Maybe allowing yourself to squeeze out the last of your exhale. Maybe pressing the belly in toward the spine to help squeeze out the last of the breath. With the next inhale, maybe coming to bend into the knees. Maybe gently rolling up one vertebra at a time if that feels okay to you. Chin can stay heavy on the chest here till the last moment. Good. Rising ourselves up into a standing posture. You can invite the arms to kind of hang open a little bit wide by the sides of the body. Feet can be about hip width distance or closer if you like the big toes to touch. That's a little more balanced challenge. Widening those feet just creates a wider, stable base for support. So you choose where you'd like to be here. From this place, maybe rolling the shoulders back and down. We'll engage different parts of the body as I will cue. So allowing yourself to draw energy where you feel you want to bring it, or you'd like to notice it. Maybe starting with that lift in the arches. of each foot. Maybe drawing the calf muscles in toward the bones and the shin muscles in toward the bones. So strengthen to the low legs here. Maybe lifting into the kneecaps. Maybe noticing some strength coming into the quadriceps or the upper leg muscles on the front. Maybe also strengthening the hamstrings on the muscles on the backs of the legs behind us. Maybe tucking the glutes under or tilting the tailbone underneath. Maybe coming to draw the navel in toward the spine a little bit or a lot. Noticing that the lungs can still inflate in the full circle all the way around the body. A lot of times we just breathe forward. We can also breathe back and all the way around on the sides. So notice if you can feel that here. Shoulders can stay down away from the ears. Heart can be open. And then taking that little lift through the crown of the head. It's not a lift of the chin. The chin actually stays tucked down toward the chest. We're lengthening through the back of the neck and lifting the very center of the head, the very top of the head, up toward the sky just a little bit more. This is our mountain pose. Strong foundational balance. If anything has slackened and you'd like to bring that power back into the body, maybe noticing from the ground all the way up how much energy you can bring into the shape. If you like it a little bit softer, that's okay. Feel free to be there. Maybe giving ourselves one more breath or so to kind of find this centered place, this balance point. If you'd like to, you might take a sun breath, rising the arms up with the inhale. Again, it can just be lifting from the elbows if that's best for you. With the exhale, maybe gently bringing those hands back down. If you'd like to add a little bit of balance challenge, you might rise up onto the balls of the feet or onto the toes with the in-breath. Maybe taking those hands high as we rise. Exhaling to release back down gently. That can be a lot of work for the ankles, so feel free to kind of support yourself how you need to. If the ankles tend to roll out to the sides, maybe not going quite as high, and practicing that straight kind of forward and back movement with control. Give ourselves maybe 2 or 3 more rounds of balanced breath, if you like. You may notice here too that the wider the feet go, maybe the more support you feel underneath you. So you can always step the feet out a little bit wider if that feels best to you. Maybe giving it one more round or so here. Good. We'll go ahead and you can bounce into the knees a little bit, shake the shoulders, the elbows, the hands loose. You can get the hips in there, the shake or wiggle, any or all of that kind of practice or strength out of the body. We'll move into a little bit of standing flow from here. So go ahead and find your feet again, maybe hip width distance or a little bit closer. We'll start with our deep breath in, maybe sweeping the arms high if you like. With the exhale, coming down into our forward fold. You can stop halfway. You can take the elbows to the bent knees if you like to, or you can hinge all the way forward from the hips, releasing the head to the bottom. With the next in-breath, rise into a halfway lift if you aren't there already. Nice flat back again, long hamstrings here. Exhaling, coming back into a forward fold of your choice. Could be the full fold or ski pose as we call it. Lifting with the heart first as we inhale and rise back up. That gives us a little bit more of a flat back. Maybe lifting the arms high, maybe the gaze comes up as well. And exhaling, we can finish in the hands coming to heart center. So we'll go ahead and just make that same kind of sequence a few times. If you'd like to add a back bend as we breathe in and rise up, you can. Exhaling, maybe coming forward into the half fold, the ski fold, or the full forward fold. Inhaling to rise to that halfway lift here. Exhaling, coming back into any depth of fold for yourself. Inhaling, we lift the gaze and the heart first, rising all the way back up to standing. Maybe lifting the heart, maybe taking a back bend. And exhaling, hands coming into heart center. Good, nice deep breath. When you're ready, we'll take another round or two. Feel free to follow your own pace. If you have a different speed than me, that's okay. No need to conform, no expectations of you, no competition. Inhaling to find the halfway lift when you're ready. Exhaling to find your own forward fold. Deep breath in to lift with the gaze and the heart first. Sweeping high up to standing, maybe back bend option. And exhaling, hands in the center. We'll take one more round together. If you choose, you're welcome to change the flow, the shapes, or take whatever options you need here. Maybe exhaling down into a forward fold if you like. Inhaling to rise, halfway lift. Exhaling back to forward fold here. Deep breath in, lifting the gaze. Coming to standing, maybe back bend option. And exhaling, hands coming into heart center. Go. We'll go ahead and add on a little bit with a step back into a downward facing dog here. A little bit of work through lunge. So starting from maybe the top of the mat, if you want to give yourself some space to travel. Taking a nice deep breath in, maybe sweeping those hands high here. Lifting through the heart, back bend option. Exhaling, coming forward and down into a fold. As deep as you like to go. Halfway lift, breath in to rise up. Exhaling this time, maybe hands can touch the ground. You might step or walk the feet back into a downward facing dog. You can use the wall if you are close to a wall instead. Maybe take a few moments to find breath and pedal the feet if you choose. If you prefer to find stillness in this shape and hang out in your favorite down dog, feel free to do so. Maybe notice if you can press the heart a little closer to the floor, or let the head relax a little bit deeper through the arms. Good. We'll go ahead and find an inhale here. Maybe lifting the right leg up for what we call three-leg dog. Maybe pointing through the toes, lifting as we rise. With the exhale, we can either kind of step both knees down together or swing that right foot through all the way forward toward a right side lunge. So left knee can ground here. If you prefer a little bit deeper stretch and work, you can keep the left leg lifted and stay up on the left toes here. It is a Tuesday morning. We can be gentle with ourselves. It's still early in the week. So hands can be down on the ground, maybe just the fingertips supporting here. Noticing as we're lengthening through the spine. Like in all of our other shapes, we're looking for that nice alignment, energy through the crown of the head, shoulders away from the ears. Maybe noticing where you're finding stretch could be the left hip flexor, maybe part of the right leg, the right hip is getting some stretch here. No right or wrong answers to that question, just allowing yourself to notice what feels true for you. Noticing if you need to back out of the shape any amount for comfort or safety. Maybe you don't need every last drop of stretch out of this pose right now. We'll give it a couple more breaths here. If you like to extend the shape or rise up in your stretch at all, you might bring the hands to the leg or even up overhead if you really want to work the upper body. Add that strength to the shoulders, elbows, wrists, and fingers. There's always ways to add layers and challenge, so if that doesn't work for you right now, that's okay. You can always add it later or explore it at another time. We'll find one more deep breath in here, perhaps. With the exhale, maybe finding the hands again coming to the floor. Stepping the left foot so the toes tuck under and the left foot comes forward to meet the right foot. We can find an inhale here, coming back to a halfway lift. Exhaling to come back down into forward fold. Maybe letting the head be soft and hang heavy. Nice deep breath to lift the gaze, rising all the way up to standing, finishing our flow. Maybe taking a back bend at the top if you like. Exhaling, hands coming back into heart center. So we'll do the same here toward the second side. Deep breath in when you're ready. Lifting up through the heart. Back bend option. Exhaling as we come forward and fold. Squeezing the breath out with the front body compression. Inhale to rise to halfway lift. That nice flat back, shoulders away from ears, long hamstrings. Exhaling, hands or fingertips can touch the ground. Maybe stepping or walking both feet back to find that downward facing dog. Again, this can modify to a wall dog if you want to keep the hands on the wall. Hanging the upper body maybe through the shoulders. That's another option here. You can still rise and lower on the toes or alternate bends in the knees from this shape as well. So just allowing this practice to be whatever you need. Good. Maybe taking another breath or two for your down dog. We'll find an inhale here. We can rise the left toes this time. Finding a three-leg dog, maybe reaching up through that whole leg with the deep breath in. Maybe stepping or walking that left foot through the hands. You can ground the knees to help make that big step forward if you like. We're setting up our lunge shape, checking alignment that the ankle and the knee are stacked vertically. If the knee is way out over those toes, we risk injuring the knee. So if that's true for you, just wiggling those toes a little bit further forward so that shin bone is straight perpendicular to the floor. Again, if you'd like a little bit deeper work here, you can stay up on the right toes. There's always room for gentleness and self-compassion. We don't need to do everything possible to be worthy or happy. So again, finding that space where you can notice the stretch. Maybe it's the right hip flexor, back of the right leg, or into that, or excuse me, the left leg or into the left hip perhaps. Maybe there's other places that you notice the stretch. Could be even through the quadricep. Maybe down further. Maybe it's stretching through the low back for you. There is no wrong answer. If you would like to, you can explore taking the shape up a little bit higher. You can walk the hands to the left thigh, the left leg. You can even bring the hands to the hips if that's better for you. Or up overhead if you like that layer of challenge. Reaching up through the fingers but keeping the shoulders away from the ears if you do. And just finding a couple more moments of breath. Maybe noticing if there's a lot of intensity, you can back out 5 or 10%. Still find a quality stretch for yourself, but not forcing the body into anything it's not ready to do. Another breath or two here if you like. Maybe taking one more deep inhale. Releasing the hands toward the ground with the exhale. We'll tuck the right toes this time and step the right foot forward to meet the left. Good. Rising with the inhale into a halfway lift. Nice flat back here with the exhale, lowering toward the ground, toward forward fold. Inhaling to bend the knees, lift the gaze, rise up through the body. Maybe take a back bend at the top if you like it. And exhale, coming back into heart center. Good, an option here to step the feet about hip width distance, but the toes turning out toward the sides here. Go ahead and lower ourselves down into a forward fold. It can be, again, a halfway fold or that full forward fold with hands touched to the ground. If you like to, you can practice a little bit of ankle strength by lifting the heels off the ground, just a little bit. Could be a lot if you really want to go for it. And then if you like to add a little bit of low body work here, we take what we call our frog squats. So lowering the hips down through the knees, maybe the seat comes a little bit lower toward the floor, and then rising back up. Legs maybe coming straight and hands supporting the whole time. So you can choose what phase of breath for which movement. Maybe you inhale as you lower and exhale as you rise. Maybe it's the opposite for you. Let's see if you can tune into kind of that rhythmic breath and movement together. Maybe inhaling to lower and exhaling to lift. You can step the feet a little bit closer here if you want a little bit more work. That can kind of accentuate some of that intensity. Good. Maybe doing 5 to 10 rounds depending on your energy level and the strength that you want to build today. You might find yourself wanting to kind of hang out in a deep squat here before we come back down to the floor for a closing sequence. If that's the case, you might allow yourself to connect both feet down to the ground once again. The heels might lift off as you travel down, but perhaps giving yourself that nice deep squat shape. Elbows maybe pressing the knees apart, hands together at the heart center. Perhaps can help open those knees just a little bit deeper. Maybe you give yourself some nice deep breath here. If this shape doesn't work for you, you might come all the way down to the floor and sit back into that bound angle pose with the cobbler's pose that we started with earlier on. Nice deep breath, maybe 1 or 2 more inhales. And full exhale. Maybe 1 more deep breath in here. Hands maybe connecting either in front of you or behind you for support. With the exhale, we might travel the tailbone all the way back down to the ground. Feet can come forward. You might just shift those knees a little bit side to side. Hands supporting behind you. Just giving it a little bit of what we call the windshield wiper knees. Back and forth. Softening the stretch through the hips, maybe helping us to open or find any other places that might be sore, tight, or needing a little bit of love. Good. So we can go ahead and turn ourselves around here, finding the center of the mat with the hips if you're practicing on a mat today. Allowing ourselves to gently travel back and down, maybe rolling gently 1 vertebra at a time. Sometimes keep my hands on my legs so I can really find that incremental shift 1 vertebra at a time, all the way coming down to the floor. Good. As we arrive, you're inviting the knees into the chest if you like to. You can wrap the hands or arms around for a nice hug. Maybe even take the tailbone a little bit closer to the floor and lengthen through the low back if you like. Maybe feeling some compression there in the hip flexors, maybe a little bit of squeeze in the inner belly. Kind of like our twisting shapes, this pose helps us to kind of wring out or clear out the stagnant, stale blood in the muscles and the tissues. If you like to, you might come to just clasp the right knee and allow the left foot to come down to the ground. If you feel a little bit more flexible today or want a little more challenge, maybe extending that whole left leg toward the ground. You can choose. With that right knee, you might just draw it into the chest. You might sway it side to side a little bit, playing with some of the hip flexor there. Maybe finding some more stretch. You can stop and kind of hold any place that feels like you might want to add some breath or find some more space in those tissues. If you would like to, you might try rising through that whole right leg, extending it. Hands can stay clasped behind the thigh, the knee, or even move up further to the calf or ankle. Alternatively, if you can take the first 2 fingers on the right hand to that right big toe, you can make it a big toe hold. Some nice deep breath here while you're stretching. Just finding your strength and your stretch together. Maybe noticing what parts of the body aren't involved or active that can soften a little bit more, not holding residual tension or excess energy that's not needed. Maybe taking one more breath for this stretch here. The exhale, maybe bending into the knee, drawing that knee into the chest once again. If you like to, we'll take it into a twist. Maybe crossing the body with the right knee toward the left side. That can be a little bit where both hips stay grounded underneath you, or you can twist the knee a little bit closer to the floor where the hips start to stack vertically. And take maybe the right arm behind you out from the shoulder. Maybe even following the gaze behind you so the twist then comes into the upper back and the neck. We'll take a few rounds of breath here, noticing where you can give away strength. Starting to melt the body into the floor. Release into the breath. Really using the exhale as a relaxing force. We're letting go of the strength and control. We're willing to surrender a little bit to gravity, trusting that the earth is here to support us. Maybe giving a couple more breaths to this time and shape here. Choosing for yourself, maybe finding an inhale, gently rising that right knee back up and in toward center. Maybe taking one more hug on that right knee in toward the chest. You might even draw the left knee in along with it, giving both knees a nice healthy squeeze here. You might even rock side to side if you like a little massage for the spine or the back body. Maybe giving it another breath or two, however you choose. Maybe coming back to center if you are rocking or finding movement. Maybe this time keeping the clasp just on the left knee. You might just drop the right foot to the floor, or maybe release the entire right leg if that feels okay for you. You're starting with that nice healthy squeeze to the left side body, maybe compressing some of the internal organs. You might even rock that left knee side to side a little bit if you like. Good. You might allow yourself to extend through the left leg, maybe straighten through the knee, clasping maybe behind the knee, the calf, the ankle, or if you have that big toe hold, first two fingers or the peace fingers, if you want to make a peace sign, wrapping around the big toe, perhaps if you have that reach. You can also use a belt or a strap, an old necktie, anything like that. Some people use the robe cinch on their bathrobe. You can also loop that around the foot here and use that as a hand hold as opposed to direct hand to foot connection. Maybe working on lengthening a little bit more through the back of the calf or the hamstring here. Deep breath for this stretch. This one can be kind of intense. So even as you're working this shape, noticing where else you might be able to soften. Maybe the face or the jaw can relax a little bit here. Giving it another breath or so if you choose. Maybe with an exhale, coming to bend back into the knee, release the clasp or draw that knee back into the chest a little bit. And here's our option to take it into a twist. It can be a little twist, just gently shifting the knee toward the right side, keeping both hips grounded. Or you might turn over toward that right side, left hip coming to stack over the right. Maybe the left arm this time comes out from the shoulder. You can follow the gaze toward those left fingers this time. So choosing just enough for yourself. There's no expectation of what you do. There's no requirements. There's no judgments. Just finding that space where you can get what you need and allow yourself to stay compassionate with where you are. Knowing that we can work on our flexibility and our physical health over time. That by staying kind to ourselves right now, we're increasing our emotional and mental wellness. Flexing the muscles of self-compassion is just as important, if not more important, than any other muscle. Just giving ourselves another few breaths here if you like. If this shape doesn't work for you, or if any shape doesn't work for you, you never have to hold it. You can always change it or come back to something that feels better to you. Maybe giving it 1 or 2 more breaths as you like. Finding when you are ready to gently turn back, maybe on an inhale. Maybe bringing that left knee in toward the chest one more time for a nice squeeze, and perhaps this time releasing both legs down long on the mat together. If there are other stretches, shapes, or movements that you need to include before you're ready to find a moment of rest, feel free to do that. If you are ready and able to take just a brief minute or two for a final relaxation, maybe lengthening those legs down, maybe the arms can just rest by the sides of the body. Perhaps the backs of the hands can come to the floor. If you'd like to cover yourself with a blanket for coziness or warmth, you can add that. You can close your eyes, or you can just soften the gaze. Some people like to cover the eyes as well. Just taking another minute or two here to be at rest, be at peace. This is where the body can integrate all of the benefits of the practice, giving ourselves this time for stillness and quiet, giving away all thoughts, coming back to noticing just the gentle flow of breath. Gentle inhales and exhales. Coming back to the affirmation that you may have set for this practice, or the intention that you need now. Allowing yourself to simply be here in your breath a few more moments. Maybe allowing yourself to bring awareness back to the breath if that has wandered. Bring yourself back into awareness of your whole body and the space around you. starting to add gentle movements if you wish to, wiggling fingers and toes. If you like this calm place and you'd like to stay for a while longer, feel free to do so. Just stay relaxed, stay calm. We'll close out the practice, but you can stay in that gentle place of relaxation for as long as you wish. If you would like to join me back in a seated shape for the close of practice, you might start to add bigger movements or hugging the knees back into the chest. Maybe rolling to one side or gently pressing yourself back up to a seat anytime you feel ready. Maybe the hands come into heart center if you choose. Maybe bringing back to mind or heart an intention that you started class with, or the new intention, anything else that feels like it fits for you right now. We'll go ahead and give a good vibration to these intentions. With a chant of 3 Om, you can join me or just receive, starting with a nice deep breath. Honoring the light, the love, and the divine in each of you. Wishing you a beautiful and blessed day. Namaste. And thank you for joining in today. You're welcome to send or ask any questions, clarification. If there's anything that you came up against in the class or the practice that you want more support around, feel free to let me know either directly or through message. I'm happy to receive all of those. Thank you so much for joining in and taking this time to be in care of yourself.